First of all, I will refer to the relationship of you and your Filipina wife or lover, in this context. The word you means a foreign retired guy and your Filipina wife or lover means young Filipina who comes from under the lower middle class. You should regard the lady who married a foreign old guy as a woman who comes from a poor family in higher probability, though I never say this in all cases. So, you may feel anything exaggerated. If so, you should adapt and revise it depending on your situation. Anyway, if such a lady is your wife or lover, what you have to keep in mind is that you don't feed catched fish in excess, but feed it to the extent of keeping it alive. In other words, if you gave your wife or lover the economic power to stand up by herself, you might be thrown away. However, imagining her mind to marry you, it is obvious as one of reasons to marry you to aim to escape from poverty, so it is your obligation to give her a richer life, if not luxury. At this point, most foreign guys seem to have understood, but not a few foreign guys misunderstand. Indeed, they think of it as the same thing to give her a richer life as to give her independent economic power. Especially, the deeper in love for her you are and the more you believe her love for you, the more you may want to do for her. And actually not a few such people materialize his love to give her property, of which the common example is that he buys her real estate. As you already know, the foreigner can't get land title in the Philippines, so you must make her get it with your money, of course. Even if you will be thrown away by her for the gift and if you can regard the expenses as consolation money to her, it wouldn't matter. But if the gift made the relationship between you and her break faster, the timing you gave her the gift might be faster than the best timing. I should tell you a true story here. An incident happened in 2022. A Japanese old man stabbed the brother of his Filipina wife to death. He made a statement that he killed a brother before he was killed by the brother. His unhappy days began from the day he married a young Filipina. For the first several years, they lived separately. He was in Japan, she in the Philippines. He sent some money as living expenses for her as she asked. As is often the case with such a relationship, her demanding money was widespread, such as medical expenses for her father, the school expenses for young brother and so on. After a while, he got there to live with the wife, buying land with her title and building an apartment to fill money in want of the living expenses and for her after he died. He was still in Japan while the apartment was being built and she often asked for extra money to build the apartment. He was forced to pay more expenses than the first plan. He didn't see the apartment completed on the first day he immigrated to the Philippines after he left Japan. He must have cut all losses this time, but he didn't, believing her love for him and completed the apartment for more extra money. The apartment completion made his wife bullish and callous to him. The reason might be that she became independent on the economic situation for the land and apartment and money that she plucked out of him with quibble. I seemed to hear her voice, "Hello money, goodbye an old ugly guy." There was also a quarrel when tenants entered all the rooms there. A brother of his wife went to collect the rent in advance faster than him once every month. Originally his wife was supposed to, but she made her brother. Even if the brother collected the rent, it didn't matter where the money was obviously allotted, but he was always late outside and of course he couldn't get some of the money. To make matters worse, he disposed of all his property in Japan. So, even though he cut all the losses to return to Japan, he didn't have anything but only a little pension in the future. Such a situation seemed to strengthen his consciousness that those assets in the Philippines belonged to him. One day, he intended to go to collect rent faster than the brother, and happened to encounter the brother in front of the apartment. That led to the manslaughter. Of course, it was a rare incident that never always happens to foreign old guys who get assets for their wives. However, I often see the same question on SNS, "What do you think I will buy land to build a house for me and my Filipina wife and make her manage a sari-sari store or apartment built in a corner of the land? That is surely free at your will. And, even if you lost the fortune, it could be cheaper than your county, but you don't have to forget that you would lose your wife's love for you, even though it was not genuine love but the love in appearance to hide her mind of seeking your money." Not a few people think of this situation as a better thing than it would have taken longer for you to know her love was not genuine but the false love to seek your money. Such people should know that any love ends in about 4 years, and the loving people divide two types in the end of love, that is, the one of type is a kind of person who keeps having emotion to bind oneself to his wife or her husband, the other is a kind of person who loses not only the love but also any emotion to bind oneself to his wife or her husband. The latter makes them divorce in most cases. You should believe that 4 years has a mysterious meaning. See, the Olympic Games come once in 4 years, leap year comes once in 4 years, the presidential election comes once in 4 years, and love is over in 4 years. However, there are some odd persons who come to a reverse way and who begin a relationship with the opposite sex without love, but the person comes to have emotion to bind oneself to him or her in about 4 years. Therefore, you should wait and check which type your Filipina wife is in 4 years, that is, you should not make your wife economically independent for 4 years, because if you do so, your wife could leave you before she comes to have the emotion to bind her to you. Though you could get land to expect a price increase of the land in 4 years, but just do it without building a house and so on. Then, you should live with your young Filipina wife in a rented house, assuming that you don't have much money for assets at first for 4 years. Believe me,